All right, from the Statehouse, we welcome in once again Massachusetts Senate Minority Leader Bruce Tarr. Senator Tarr, welcome and happy almost summer.
Well, Rick, there's a rumor that summer's coming, and I think by looking out the window today, that may be true, but I can't confirm it.
No, I can't. I don't think you can depend on it the way it's been lately. My goodness.
This is
Well, what's
true.
the latest? What's the latest happening on Beacon Hill, Senator?
So, as I sit here right now in my office on Beacon Hill, we're preparing for debate tomorrow on a major piece of legislation that has to do with providing tax relief for citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And Rick, this is a subject that you and I have discussed in the past, and you know that we have been pushing, and I personally have been pushing to get some form of tax relief for a while now over the last couple of years. And so far, the Senate has voted 2 or 3 times on a tax relief package, and the House has voted twice, and yet we haven't been able to get anything to the governor's desk. So starting off this year again, the House has passed the tax package, and we are going to debate the Senate version of that tax package tomorrow. And just to give you a sense of the order of magnitude, the value of this tax package in total is about $594 million. That is comparable to the impact of the House package in the first year, but the House actually spreads its package out in terms of implementation over a number of years. And so the total value of the House package is about $1,078,000, so, or $780,000. So a difference there, but a lot of common elements in these packages, trying to help seniors with the cost of their property taxes, trying to help renters with a deduction because we know the high cost of rent, trying to help folks with children and other dependents to increase the credit for the dependent care credit. So a lot of different measures that are included and a lot of common areas in these bills, but we're going to try again in the Senate tomorrow to get a package. There have been 74 amendments that have been filed, and we'll be debating all of them starting tomorrow, probably about noontime.
Okay. Is there any relation to this and the tax holiday?
Well, so that's a great question. So the way the law works with the tax holiday is that we have to establish the date for it by a date certain. And if we don't do that, then the administration sets the date. But there was an announcement by the Senate President and the Speaker just a couple of days ago that we are going to move forward. And that's a separate issue that we have to take up, Rick, outside of the context of these tax bills. But I'm pretty confident that in the next week or so, and maybe even tomorrow, we will vote on a date. And my understanding is it's going to be around the 13th or 14th of August, which is generally the time frame when the tax holiday takes place.
Okay, a couple of C questions, I guess. On your website, tartalk.com, you mentioned that Manchester by the Sea received a $1.5 million grant for restoring a coastal habitat from, I believe that's from the federal government.
It is. And, you know, Rick, this is a great testament to the forward-thinking nature of town government in Manchester by the Sea. They have been wrestling for a while with a bridge that needs to be repaired or replaced on Central Street. And as part of that, they're also working to restore Sawmill Brook, which runs under that bridge and into the harbor. And just to give you a sense of where that is, if you're familiar with the building where Seaside 1 is housed, the historic fire pumper, this bridge runs right next to that building. And if we were to lose that bridge, not only would it have a terrible impact on transportation in the area, particularly in Manchester, but also the North Shore, because folks driving along 127 would have to find an alternative route. But something folks may not be aware of is that the power lines that carry power from the Beverly substation that supplies all of Cape Ann, those power lines run under that bridge. And so if the bridge were to have a problem, it would have implications far greater than just for transportation and just for downtown activity in Manchester by the Sea. But the town has been working diligently to be very proactive and to suggest that not only do they want to repair the bridge, they want to enhance the habitat of the brook. And the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration recognized that leadership. And there were only 2 grants in this round that came to Massachusetts. One was for Truro and one is for Manchester by the Sea. And they were applied for through the Mass Office of Coastal Zone Management on behalf of those communities. And so this is a great success story. The state is putting money into this project. The taxpayers in Manchester by the Sea are putting money into it. And now the federal government is putting money into it. And it's a great example of how, when you're dealing with a major issue that also involves climate change and resilience, a team effort can get the job done, even in a smaller community where you don't have a very large tax base.
Okay, do we have time to talk whales, or you want to save that for a later date?
Well, I would just say, Rick, very quickly that we are working on enhancing our protections for the right whales. There's been some things in the news lately about their migratory patterns and them being in Massachusetts waters. Love to talk about it more in the future, but I just want to tease this a little bit and say we've got some good news in the Senate version of the budget on this front, and be happy to talk about that when we next get together.
Oh, I like that. Stay tuned. All right, very good.